You guys are crazy. A lot of people already are doing their rookie drafts right after the draft happened. On Monday, they were starting to do their rookie drafts. So I know I had to hurry up and get my rookie ranking settled. So without further ado, here are my 2020 Dynasty rookie rankings for fantasy football. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. We're going to be really focusing on my top 10 rookies, but we'll talk about some other ones, maybe top 15, but I really want to nail in who were drafted number 1 overall all the way to the first round. Number 1 is really between Jonathan Taylor and CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You can really interchange them, and I'm not even gonna put up an argument for which one you should take, which one you should avoid. I just really like Taylor. He's super fast, he's big, he has that home run ability. He's gonna be behind a great O-line with the Colts. And Phillip Rivers, I don't know if you know this, but he's like the worst quarterback when it comes to rushing stats. So he's a decent passer. He's created a lot of success with the running backs that he's played with, even when the Chargers O-line has been shaky. So Jonathan Taylor is in a perfect situation. Yes, Mac will steal some carries. Mac is a somewhat decent running back, or should we say a mediocre running back. Like, he's not terrible or anything, but if there was some kind of competition, like it was Jonathan Taylor or Mac's gonna get the starting job, I'm pretty sure after 1 to 2 days of practice, Taylor will steal the show and get the starting gig. This was the Colts' first draft pick since they didn't have a round 1 draft pick. They went and got their guy early round 2, and may I say, it was a very good draft pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, LSU running back, only ran a 4.640, but he looks a lot faster on film. He's one of those guys I've always compared to Kareem Hunt. They're not necessarily the same player, but he's fast, he can catch the ball, and he finishes runs tough. His lateral movement is very good, and it's the perfect system. I think between him and Damian Williams, I'm pretty sure that Damian Williams is going to be in Kansas City at least one more year. KC really had no depth at the running back position, so we knew they had to go get a running back. I really didn't expect them to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire or take a running back at all in round 1, but they made a huge splash. I love how these huge splashes are happening at the very end of round 1, like when we saw the Ravens trade up and get Lamar Jackson to the very last pick of day 1 of the draft a couple years ago, and we saw KC go out there and make a splash. So yeah, you can go either way, and I love Clyde when it comes to PPR. You can easily see him catching 5 to 7 passes per game. Eventually, Damian Williams is going to take a backseat, or they're going to trade him. They're happy right now, and they're ready to make another Super Bowl appearance and plan to make probably several Super Bowl appearances in the near future. Now we have DeAndre Swift, who a lot of scouts and a lot of these NFL analysts doing mock drafts and rating these prospects had DeAndre Swift as the best running back, and I disagreed. I compare him to a poor man's Dalvin Cook. He can do everything well. He can catch the ball well, very natural pass catcher. We know that, but he landed in a horrible situation. Now, I do see him beating out Kerryon Johnson. At least we're hopeful of that. But look, guys, it's the Detroit Lions. Ever since Barry Sanders left, I don't even know a running back who's had more than one good year. This franchise is cursed, especially at the running back position. We got Reggie Bush. He'd had one good year. I mean, the guy was always hurt, though, so I guess we can count that as a successful year. I mean, Javid Best, Amir Abdullah, and then Kerryon Johnson, who I think a lot of analysts thought was good, but he wasn't what we thought, okay? We thought Kerryon was going to be a top 10 back, so we were probably wrong about his talent. And then he kept getting injured, and the Lions just didn't seem like a good running team. So it was just a combination of everything, but nonetheless, Swift is a Lion. Don't draft him top 2. That's one thing I'm gonna really highly recommend, that he's not a top 2 running back. And hey, even if you don't draft him top 3, I mean, that's tough, but I can see you not doing that because I'm just so scared to draft a Lions running back. I'm okay with the Colts running back, definitely okay with the Chiefs running back and Andy Reid running back, that's for sure. A little bit wary about a Lions running back, but if he's sitting there at 5th or 6th overall, I think you absolutely have to take Swift. Don't let him fall too much because running backs don't come all the time in fantasy. They're just so valuable, even in Dynasty leagues. And then this is when I really started to have trouble. These rankings were so tough to do. I'm just going with my favorite wide receiver in the draft. And really, instead of Judy here, you can really pick anybody. CeeDee Lamb, I think in the future he has a lot of upside. Jalen Reagor, who can be really good right now, who should have the biggest opportunity out of any of these receivers, any of these top receivers going into the Eagles, whether Alshon's going to be healthy or Deshaun Jackson, like we don't know about that. Those guys could retire, they could get hurt, who knows what's up with those guys. Reagor should be a day one starter, or at least have every single opportunity to be a day one starter, and he has the skill sets to do some things day one, get you a couple fantasy points. So that's what we always look for when we're ranking rookies and we're drafting in Dynasty, especially round 1. When we draft, we want guys who are gonna have a good shot of performing, at least being formidable, or at least being a bye week starter week 1. If you have an early rookie draft pick, you don't want to draft these guys that are, oh, he's gonna probably be good in 3 years, you know, like a Mike Gesicki. You probably don't want to do that. Stick to the guys that are drafted early, have good draft capital, have a clear path to succeed. And by the way, these numbers right here, so I see Justin Jefferson has a 4, a green 4. That means I ranked him 4 spots higher than the consensus. And so CeeDee Lamb -1, I ranked CeeDee Lamb 1 spot lower. And easily CeeDee Lamb could be as high as number 4. I'm totally fine with that. I just don't know what's up with the Cowboys, with Dak being a franchise tag, Amari Cooper looking like he's going to be part of the future for the Dallas Cowboys for the next 4 or 5 years. I think that's pretty much a lock. And then you have Michael Gallup, who's still fairly young, so CeeDee Lamb would be the wide receiver 3. Easily could be the wide receiver 2 maybe in 1 more year, but for right now I'm having Justin Jefferson, who I really think is just going to slide into that Stephon Diggs role. Stephon Diggs goes to Buffalo, Justin Jefferson goes to Minnesota. I think it's just as easy as that. A clear swap, great fit, great draft pick by the Vikings. Also, the Broncos and Cowboys had grins too when Judy and Lamb fell so far. And then we have Jalen Reagor. I'm just not completely sold on how good of a wide receiver he is. We know the Eagles will use the running back position a lot. We know that the Eagles will use the quarterback in the run game and creative plays, maybe some trick plays here and there. And we know that they will use their tight ends, Ertz and Goddard, and they have a ton of wide receivers. I'd say they have a large quantity of wide receivers, but not necessarily quality. I mean, they have some good wide receivers, but they have a lot of injury risk and question marks. So with all those question marks said, and Jalen Reagor being a guy who I don't see putting up big fantasy numbers and consistent fantasy numbers, that's why I don't have him as high as some people. Still, I have him 1 spot higher than the consensus though, and so I do have him pretty high. And number 8, I have J.K. Dobbins. And you know what? I'm changing it right here because this year, J.K. Dobbins, I actually don't really like him too much, but he is a running back. He's on a great team. It's going to take about 1 year for this guy to blow up, and I'm going to definitely move him above Reagor. And I have him about tied with CeeDee Lamb. It's gonna be real close, guys, like real close. By the way, guys, if you want more great content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you won't miss anything. So the reason I moved him up because he's a running back. He's on the Ravens. It's a great running team, but there's about 4 running backs right there right now. Sure, Ingram's probably not going to be there next year. Gus Edwards is a great runner, not a good pass catcher. And Justice Hill, so we still have to see how good he is. Very unlikely going to be anything that resembles a workhorse. So that's why I moved J.K. Dobbins up 1 spot. And then I have a quarterback. Look, we know quarterbacks aren't it in fantasy, in a single quarterback league, right? A league where you have to start only 1 quarterback, where you cannot start 2 quarterbacks. But Joe Burrow has a ton of upside. I think if you don't like too many running backs or wide receivers, I'm totally cool with people taking Joe Burrow. Now, I wouldn't take him early to mid round 1, but late round 1, I would definitely consider taking him, and I'd recommend taking him if you need a quarterback. Now, if you do like some running backs and you're set at quarterback like me, I have Patrick Mahomes, I probably won't be drafting a rookie quarterback in round 1. I just have a lot of other needs in my Dynasty league, and quarterback's definitely not one of them. But you can draft Joe Burrow, maybe I'd say, let's just say as early as 7, which is too early for me, and maybe even as late as 16 overall, but I wouldn't let him slip past a mid-second round in a rookie draft. And then we have Cam Akers, and flat out, I just don't really like him. A lot of people told me they like him and he has a clear path to success. Now, I see him as a good pass catching back. I think he'll fit that role right away. So that's going to happen. But I actually I actually believe McVay once. I think Sean McVay is actually telling the truth once. I really believe this is going to be a running back by committee. I believe the Rams organization is a mess. And quite frankly, I'm just annoyed and over them. I'm over Goff. I'm over McVay. They've completely mismanaged their team. They signed Gurley to a big contract and cut him. They trade everything for Ramsey. Now they got to make him the highest paid cornerback. It's just a mess there. And when there's a mess, when there's these big signs of these red flags, these caution signs, oh, watch out, I'm not loving it. Okay, so Cam Akers, but still, with that being said, he's still worth considering a first round rookie draft pick, but especially in full PPR leagues. But other than that, just beware. I don't know if Cam Akers is going to be that good. Now, Henry Ruggs, I think he's a really good wide receiver, but he's going to be inconsistent. Comparisons to Tyreek Hill, yes, definitely. But Tyreek Hill, more so a younger Tyreek Hill, I would say. So the inconsistency will be there. The big plays will be there, but not a guy I ideally want to start in fantasy every week. And I don't see him ever being that, and he does have a shot at being that, but I don't think he will. And so that's why I have him maybe a little bit lower than other teams. Now, as far as the Raiders picking him, yes, I think they took him a bit early, and making him the number 1 wide receiver off the board wasn't the smartest decision. I don't love it, but for them, this pick will improve their team quite a bit because they never had any great wide receivers. Remember, they got Antonio Brown. That didn't work out. So they have a bunch of underneath wide receivers and tight ends and big body wide receivers and slot receivers. They need a guy to stretch the field, and so they got their guy. It's going to open up a lot. It's going to take a load off Derek Carr. It's going to open up things for Josh Jacobs. So this was a good draft pick as far as being a fit, even though I'm not totally giving them a pass for taking Ruggs so high. I just been like, hey, it would have been just so much smarter and so much cooler. I would have given them a lot more props if they traded down a little bit and then got Ruggs. I think that was doable. It's easier said than done, I'm sure, but I think it was doable, and they would have looked a lot smarter and a lot more of a boss move if they did that. But hey, it is what it is. Predicting Jets wide receivers is an impossible task, but Denzel Mims is a really good college wide receiver. Don't know if it's going to translate into the pros. He has great speed, but a lot of the catches I see he makes are contested, and this contested catch receiver thing is kind of going away. Wide receivers specifically, Dez Bryant and all these other guys, we just haven't seen success as of recently. The quicker guys, these quick slot wide receivers, guys like Deebo Samuel, guys who can do a lot of different type of things. That's what we see a lot more so, and I just don't know if Mims' game is going to translate into the NFL, or maybe it's going to take some time, and maybe Sam Darnold spreads the ball. With that being said, Mims has a clear path to be a day one starter, and I really do think he will, because the Jets don't have a lot of great wide receivers. I would consider taking Brandon Ayuk much later in the draft over Deebo Samuel. This is Kyle Shanahan's guy, and although I was very sad, very sad that the Niners passed up on Judy, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are smarter than me when it comes to football operations, and if this was his guy, it's either CeeDee Lamb or Brandon Ayuk, then I'm going to trust Shanahan and say, look, this is a first round pick that the Niners got. This was Shanahan's guy. He's got a clear path to be a day one starter, and he can do a lot of things, especially in the short pass game, and he can play running back. I'm really wary when it comes to drafting Niners wide receivers, because you never know which one's going to blow up, and Deebo Samuel might be drafted a little bit too early for my taste, so I wouldn't mind maybe taking Brandon Ayuk later in redraft formats. But as far as Dynasty, it's up to you where you want to draft him. And now things get pretty shaky. I think if you draft Tua, you should expect him not to play the first year. Even there's a good chance he does, but when you draft him, expect that could happen. And then we have AJ Dillon. I think the Packers aren't gonna be having Aaron Jones in the future, so they went and drafted a running back super early. When a team does this, they're communicating something to us, guys. They're saying clearly, like, look, Aaron Jones, he's probably not going to be a part of our future, or we're not paying him a lot of money. If he gives us a discount, which, running backs can't really afford to do that. Market's not that good, but if he gives us a discount, maybe he'll be part of the future. But if not, we're just gonna go with AJ Dillon. And man, did they draft this guy super early, and I was super shocked. Just a couple other guys I really want to talk about quickly. I think Laviska, I ranked him higher, but I moved him down because here's the thing: there's a clear path. He'll be a day one starter. He will do a lot. Like, it's an easy pick that you can get at a good value, and a rookie that you can actually start sooner than later. You can start him in 2020, assuming there's an NFL season. Shh, don't ever say that. But at the end of the day, I don't see him being a great NFL wide receiver that's going to put up a ton of points. So I think the upside is a little bit limited. And look, don't get me wrong, a lot of these wide receivers are really talented. These rookie wide receivers this year, the class is amazing. I'm just nitpicking because, hey, I got to rank them. I got to show some negative sides to it. CeeDee Lamb, like, who knows, in 2 years, maybe he's a baller. But Laviska, so much is going to happen to that Jacksonville Jaguars team. I no clue who the quarterback's going to be. That team is rebuilding. A lot going on. When I posted on social media, is Trevor Lawrence going to become a Patriot in the next year or two? The vast majority of people actually said no, and they said it's going to be Jacksonville Jaguar. I don't know if that's going to happen, but one thing's for sure, a lot of uncertainty in the near future for the Jags. And one more thing I wanted to talk about is Keyshawn Vaughn versus Zach Moss. I love Zach Moss. Little bit injury concern here. And look, just to prove I'm not that biased, well, actually, I could be, because I own Ronald Jones and Singletary in Dynasty, so both these guys are screwing up my team really bad. But Zach Moss is really good. Great draft pick by the Bills. The Bills did great this draft. I'm very sad that it's not Singletary season. Singletary's not going to be on fire because they drafted Zach Moss early. But man, I love just watching him on film. Like, this is the type of running back I want on my squad. And you didn't need to get him in round 1. You got him at a good value. And for some reason, the Bucks got Keyshawn Vaughn, which he's a good runner, maybe short yardage runner more so. And so I don't quite get that pick. The Bucks definitely needed depth at running back, but hey, that's the guy they wanted. I'm not drafting him in rookie drafts, at least not earlier. As you can see, I have him 2 spots below the consensus, and I got Zach Moss up here because of talent. And if the Bills O-line can keep improving, and we got Zach Moss, I think there is room for 2 running backs to succeed in Buffalo. Not a lot of room because Josh Allen is a freaking vulture, and he's going to take a lot of touchdowns from us, but there still is room because of just how damn good Singletary and Moss is going to be. That's going to be a very good backfield. And then you got Josh Allen. So this is another form essentially of the Ravens, with the quarterback rushing, and the quarterback, Josh Allen's more stronger, and Lamar Jackson's more has that freakish speed and just a better runner. But Josh Allen's a pretty good runner as well. And the Bills have more wide receivers, and the Ravens have more tight ends. Not so much with Hayden Hurst gone, but just some similarities there. I really do see that. And now they got another running back to replace Frank Gore leaving Buffalo. I'm going to provide a link below. I'm going to update these rankings, and you can just find them on fantasycouch.com, or like I said, I'll put the link below in the description, and I'll be updating these throughout the off season. So go ahead and check out that link. Make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. We also have a second YouTube channel called Fantasy Couch Podcast. Please guys, help out and support by doing something free and quick. Just hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell icon, turning on notifications, smash that thumbs up so you let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.